Hey everyone, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. Just got back from the dentist, got a good report, so I'm happy about that. And while I was there, Mrs. Primetime sent me a text and let me know that there is an estate sale right down the road. So I'm gonna stop off there real quick. In fact, I'm outside of it right now. We will check it out and see if there's anything good. Okay, well, we are here. This is the garage entrance area, and hopefully the whole house is open. Does look like there is a lot of stuff here to check out, so we will start off. I was actually here last year for a garage sale, so be curious if there's anything new. This is an ohms tester. Of course, it didn't have any batteries in it, so I had to put the batteries in it myself, which you can see go right back in here. And when you turn it, you can see that it is moving. This is about a $25 piece, so we'll see what we could pick this up for. This is really cool for $1 or $2. It is a Joe Namath horse shirt. Really cool, nice and vintage. This will definitely sell for into the $20 to $30 range. Nice pickup. So I think I did pretty good. Picked up a couple things here. Let's start with what I first showed you, which was the ohms tester right here. Now this is, this kind of item is completely different from the kind of things I was showing you yesterday from the Honey Hole haul, in which I bought all sorts of collectibles and comic books and pop culture items. This, couldn't be any farther from that type of thing. It doesn't look very, particularly interesting to most people. That's why it just kind of sits there for a long time. Pop it open, doesn't have any batteries on it. Does have someone's initials on the back. That will not be a big barrier to selling it, because someone who wants this is buying it for functionality purposes, not for collectability purposes. So keep that in mind. If that was written on the back of a comic book or something like that, that would be a huge problem. So it depends on the item in terms of whether the writing is going to affect it or not. But saved once again by using the batteries. When I popped this open, of course, there were no batteries in it. Put 2 AAAs in here, turned it on, showed you that it works. And originally wanted $5 for it, and so I put it down and came back to it a little bit later after talking to him. It was interesting because he had a scanner device, and it turns out it didn't work, but I gave him some knowledge about it. I gave him some education about the piece that he didn't know anything about it, and he appreciated that. He said, "Thank you very much, for giving me some knowledge about it that I didn't have beforehand." And right when that happened, I know I could trade that knowledge for a discount on this piece. So I said to him, let's go back to this one. Problem for me is it doesn't have any batteries in it, which is true. Did not have any batteries in it, and has someone's initials on the back of it. I said, so, I wanted to pay $2 for it. So I said, so, could you do any better on it? And he looked at me and goes, how about $2? I said, sure, great, because I should be able to flip this for $25, $35. The other one I picked up was this, and I know it's good, from what I told you when I was there. Just the vintage look to this is great. Joe Namath, and it's got all the horses on it. I like to sell horse stuff. I sold horse ties before. Anything with horses on it will generally sell well, especially if it's horse racing. Lots of horse racing fans out there who will love to wear this to the racetrack, guaranteed. So a couple issues with it, though, I'm going to have to address when I get home. One, there is some ring around the collar on it. That is easy to get out. There's these little bars that you could just wipe a little solution on it and then just wash it out, and the ring around the collar is gone. It's not terrible, but it's there, and I definitely want to get it out. The other issue is there is a little bit of stitching that has been removed from this. Now, I could probably still sell it just like that, but Miss Primetime will help me out and just stitch that little part in there. Thank goodness for her, because if it was up to me, there's no way I'd be able to stitch that. I did not do good in home economics. So the thing I want to tell you, though, confirmation that this is a great piece, is I'm walking out with this in my hands, and another guy literally stops me, and I think he was another picker, but I'm not 100% sure. But another guy stopped me, and he said that he wanted to see this. He just thought it was amazing, and he just kept raving over it and raving over it, and he just kept looking at it and looking at it and talking about how great it was. And if he's having that kind of reaction, that's the kind of reaction it's going to get online. So, you know, this could sell for anywhere from $20 to $45. I'm thinking more towards the 40 range. So, you know, great quick pickup. Not every pickup has to be some kind of massive giant haul. That's what you do. You stop off here, you stop off there, you pick up a little thing here, you pick up a little thing there, and it adds up over time. So right here, you know, this is $3 spent, and, you know, should be, you know, anywhere from, let's say, 25 to 35 for this one, and 20 to 45 for this one. So we'll be anywhere from 45 to 80 bucks on this, top. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Put it up, get everything, you know, nice and presentable, and list it, and we'll just see what happens when it goes to market. Hey everybody, I am back in Primetime Treasure headquarters, and I have got to tell you that the reaction that Mrs. Primetime had to this shirt was absolutely something I have never seen before. She just went absolutely bonkers over it. She loved it. She even said she would wear it herself if it doesn't sell. Now, with that kind of reaction, and literally somebody stopping me as I'm walking out of the sale, telling me that he wants to just hold it and, you know, sit there and stare at it. He's, you know, like 2 minutes, he's looking it over and just wowing over it. And then, you know, my wife reacting the same way to this type of shirt, which has never happened before with a shirt that I've purchased. This thing is going to sell probably within 24 hours and for good money. So that tells me right there, there's just that natural reaction to it, that I'm going to make a good return on investment. Just to show you kind of up close again, you know, this is the ring around the collar. It'll be easy to get out. They have like a little bar, like you get like a shout bar that you rub on it and then you wash it and it'll come off. And you know, if you're good at sewing, I'm not, but you know, my wife will be able to just sew that little piece back on. And that's probably why it was still sitting there. You know, sometimes you just have to do a little rehab to the piece and it'll be, you know, like as good as new. So that's the first thing. The other thing I want to tell you about this shirt, because Daniela recently asked me a question about clothing and what I kind of look for in terms of brands, and I'll probably do a video on that at some point for people. But one of the things I want to tell you is that it's not always about the brand. Sometimes it's just about the theme. So, you know, the theme here is horses, obviously, and polo, you know, and it just has, you know, look for things that, you know, have a theme like that with bright colors that just pop and stand out, and it's just different, unique, you've never seen it before. Anything like that will generally sell really well. Something that you could kind of attach to something that people enjoy and like. People love horses. They love to go to horse races. They love polo, that type of thing. You know, the brand is cool. It is Joe Namath. Joe Namath, famous football player for the New York Jets, who did make a line of clothing back in the day. You know, and that's not going to be what sells this, though. What's going to, you know, even though he is known, what's going to sell it is the theme. So, you know, other times it is the brand that sells the shirt, but, you know, not in all instances. So this one actually has a good combination of a cool name that will be recognized by a lot of guys who would be interested in purchasing this. Plus, it has the theme going for it. So those are things that, you know, are really going to be beneficial for this item. The other thing that I want to tell you about has to do with my my ohms tester here. And if you look at the ohms tester, again, this is going to, you know, a lot of times when you purchase things, it's going to need some cleaning up. It's going to need some, you know, some repair in some way. You're not always going to get the perfect items. It's usually going to have to be something you have to do to it. And you can see here, it just has like some staining on the outside of it. So I'm going to have to, you know, there's some dust. I'm going to have to, at minimum, you know, take a paper towel, wet it, you know, and just kind of wipe it down. And that will often just do a good job. But with these old vintage electronic pieces, I want to give you a little bit of a tip in terms of something that you could do, especially if it starts to get yellowed and it starts to really kind of darken on the outside. There's a way to freshen this up really easily to make this really pop and look nice and white, and that would involve using this product here called Salon Care number 40. Okay, it's the cream color. Now this is used as a the name kind of indicates, salon care. It's used in beauty shops, and you might be wondering, well, why are you using a beauty shop product? Because what this will actually do, it's got a lot of strong chemicals in it, so you don't want to use it with your bare hands or you will burn them. So you have to be very, very careful. Please be advised. But you could purchase this on Amazon, a 4-ounce bottle for $6.95 plus shipping. And what you will do is you will apply this to the outside. You just put a nice little white film on the outside, again, not with your bare fingers or you will get burned. And then you wrap it in like a food storage bag and you keep it in the sun for about 24 hours. And then after that, you wipe it off, like, with paper towel, again, with gloves on though, to protect yourself. And you will be shocked and amazed at how this thing comes back to looking, pretty much normal. Now, what I'm not clear about is if it's going to take these initials off, CRH. Again, I don't think that's essential. It's going to sell without that. Some guys who buys this for functional purposes won't really care too much about the initials, but it would be nice to get them off if I could, and so I'll be curious to see if this will do that. I know it does a really good job taking the yellow out, but in terms of taking marker out and that sort of thing, I'm not so sure, so we'll have to check that out. But again, the link is down below in the description section to purchase this, and if you make a purchase, it brings a very tiny commission over to my store, but also anything else you purchase through this link would also help support the Primetime Treasure YouTube channel, so please consider that when making any of your Amazon purchases. The other thing that I want to tell you about is just about my sales day today, because I'm making this video late into the morning. In fact, technically it's the 29th. That's normally when I do these videos, so it's like 3:30 in the morning when I'm making this. But anyway, what I want to tell you about is I had a great day of sales, and one of the items you saw in my recent video, which is it was basically a haul video that I did last week when I went out to a garage sale and I bought a wooden marble run, and it's made out of again, made out of wood, and it's it was a lightweight item. It was fairly big, probably like this big. Wound up getting it for $3. Well, if you saw in my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, I sold that today for $70, full asking price. It wasn't an international order. It was just someone in the United States purchased it, specifically someone in Georgia. Now I have got to find a way to get this big bulky item from New York to Georgia. You have to realize going into it, when you are shipping big and bulky items, that the shipping charges are likely going to be high. That's because bigger items cost more to ship. Also, items that weigh more cost more to ship, and generally items that are bigger weigh more. I mean, there are obviously exceptions. If you're shipping a massive roll of bubble wrap or something like that, it's not going to weigh a lot. But as a general rule of thumb, the bigger the item is, the more it is going to weigh. And the other factor that's going to affect how much you're going to pay for shipping is how far it's going. So those are the three main things: geographical location, size of the box, and also the weight of the item. So keep those things in mind. Now, when you put something for sale on eBay or another location, you don't know necessarily where the person is going to be located geographically who winds up purchasing it. So you could get lucky and the person could purchase it from the same state that you live in or a very close neighboring state, and so as a result of that, you could wind up making out pretty well on the shipping charges. But inevitably there's going to be people who purchase it from the from the opposite coast from where you live, if you live on one of the coasts, or from the farthest possible location from wherever it is that you're located. In this instance, it's going from New York to Georgia. That's not super far, but it's far enough that the charges are very high through the United States Postal Service. And that's really the main tip that I want to give you. Do not limit yourself just to the United States Postal Service, particularly on big and bulky items. Now, for your average item, first class mail, priority mail, I mean, that's going to be where you want to go, and it's going to give you the best rates. But for those big bulky items, sometimes you really need to look into FedEx. And let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. This is actually the box that I have the marble run in. Now, it is not heavy. As you can see, I could easily just kind of toss it up like this. It's wrapped in styrofoam.
It's not going to get damaged at all, and you know that's another reason I wanted to put it in this big box, is because I want to make sure this does not get damaged. That's another thing you have to be careful about with big bulky items. Often you have to double box them. You really have to protect them because you don't want to be dealing with returns for expensive items like this. So when I went on the USPS website and looked how much it was going to cost to ship this Priority, it was about $43. That would obviously be more than half of the profit I made on it because I sold it for $70 and, you know, bought it for $3. Now I'd still make money on it that way, but I obviously don't want to give more than half my profit away to the United States Postal Service. So then you go and you look at how much is it going to cost to ship it parcel post, which is ground shipping. That would have wound up costing around $32 to $35, which is still a lot of money. So then your other options are go on to FedEx, and you want to look at two things: FedEx Smart Post and FedEx Home Delivery. Now, it really just depends on where the geographic location is of the item in terms of which one of those is going to wind up costing you the most or costing you the least. Turns out that FedEx Home Delivery in this instance was going to cost around $29, but FedEx Smart Post wound up costing $24. So guess which option I chose? FedEx Smart Post. If you're wondering what FedEx Smart Post is, FedEx Smart Post is a service in which FedEx teams up with the United States Postal Service to take the item and bring it over to a USPS regional location near where the person lives, and then USPS will take it and they will deliver it for the person. So the package will actually come from the United States Postal Service ultimately, but it will be brought to near its destination area by FedEx. Why does this arrangement exist between FedEx and the United States Postal Service? The reason is because FedEx actually beats USPS in terms of being able to distribute the packages all across the country. They've got that covered very, very well. However, the United States Postal Service has FedEx beat in terms of actual carriers, deliverers on the ground to bring the product to the residences. So it's an advantage for the United States Postal Service to say, you know what, FedEx, you take it, you get it over to us, and we'll actually then go out and we'll deliver it. And FedEx is happy to do that because they don't have to incur any extra charges to put a carrier on the ground to get it to, for example, to some remote location where there's easily a United States Postal worker. They do deliver on Saturdays, no extra charge. If FedEx Smart Post goes up to 70 pounds, and it will typically get there in about 2 to 7 days. It takes a little bit longer, obviously, than if you were to ship it Priority, but as long as you specify that this is going to be something that ships economy shipping in your listing, you're not going to have any problem with kind of a late delivery or a customer being upset because you already specified that. So that obviously saves me around a little bit more than let's see, 25 to 43, about like a little more than $15, $16, $17 in terms of shipping. So I'm very happy about that, and obviously is a no-brainer in terms of which one to pick. So, and it still winds up being a great return on investment. All right, well, that's a wrap. I hope that you enjoyed these tips and you got to see a lot of different things here in terms of, for example, type of shirt that I would be interested in to pick, a way to kind of clean up an old vintage, white plastic, electronic device, and also a way to save a ton of money on shipping big, bulky types of merchandise. That big bulky merchandise scares a lot of people away, but there really is a lot of profit into it if you know what you're doing in terms of how to ship it out at the cheapest way, making sure you have boxes ready that could store and hold those kind of items. So keep those things in mind, and hopefully those tips will lead you to continue to grow and develop your reselling business. If you found these tips helpful, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you come by, join my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link to that is down below. Also, make sure you drop a comment or a question. I love responding to those and getting to know all of you, so that's fun for me, so keep on doing that. Also, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. If you're enjoying these videos and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing that, because that will increase the credibility of the channel and the chances that other people will be able to see these videos and learn from it as well. So the treasure chest pops up towards the end. You just click that. That will subscribe you, or you could subscribe on other areas on the channel where you see a subscribe button. And that's about it. That's a wrap from me. I've got some other things to do, and I will talk to you at the next video. See you, everybody.